It's unexplainable. It's unconditional. It's unforgettable. Unstoppable. Unless intentional. It's so invitable. Indescribable.
Hello, hello, and hello, and welcome to his
and her perspective.
perspective. And what do we do here today, Vaun? What do we do?
We find common ground to harmonize relationships. What we
That
do.
is what we do here at His and Her Perspective. And we welcome you here today. We thank you so much for joining us today. And if you're looking at us right now, I always tell you guys to make sure that you're sharing, subscribing to our channels and our pages over at Coach Vaughn's page at Vaun, the Love Alchemist, and over at my page at Coach Michelamonè. And also go over to YouTube and subscribe to our page. Hit that red bell so that you get all the updates of any new videos that we drop over there too. And see, listen, we are going to talk today about something that's really cool. I think that is very necessary because a lot of people are, I think a lot of people might fall into this little thing here. Today we're going to talk about you're not ready for love and the emotional baggage, the excuses that emotional baggage brings. So we're going to discuss that, and we want you all to engage with us. But before we do that, make sure that you are telling us who you are. Check in with us. Say hi. We would like to say hello back. We got Yarley over there. Says, "What's up, fam?" Over in Brunswick, Georgia. Hey, Yarley, how are you doing today?
What's good, brother Yarley? He right down the road from me.
Yes. We got some other people that's checked in, but they have not said hello. Make sure that you say hi. You've been to your mom. Your mom told you when you walk into a room and you see people there, say hello. Why? Because it's just a nice thing to do. So hello. Hey, Desi, how are you doing on today? That is Coach Vaughn's, the beautiful wife right there. Always supporting. I love it.
That's my good dog.
That's your good. So listen, let's get into this before we move on in. We always talk about, we talk about some things that can be a little bit heavy, but we want to start it always out with something beautiful. And this is the segment when we talk about couples that are winning. And let me go ahead and share my screen while Coach Vaun talks about the beautiful couple that we are going to highlight today.
All right. Let's get it.
All right, there we go.
Today's couple in the spotlight is Mr. and Mrs. David and Nola Grice. They have been married for 29 years, and this is a second time around marriage for the both of them. And I had the pleasure and privilege of growing up and observing them in my upcoming, because this is my aunt and my uncle. And I got to tell you, even though the statistics are much higher for a second time around couple to get divorced. Divorce rates are even higher for second time married, and these two together, they make it look seamless. And
Wow.
no doubt every couple goes through their challenges, right? But I mean, just the synergy that they have, the energy that they have, as an elder couple. I mean, the whole thing, they're just a beautiful example of what it means to grow into the twilight together. So shout out to Mr. and Mrs. David and Nola Grice. I love you both. Salute.
I love that. That is beautiful. Thank you for sharing that today. That is awesome. Let's stop sharing here. Stop sharing there. Okay, so yeah, that's really good but then it also contests to the fact that you saw something beautiful in a couple. And even if you didn't realize, or even they didn't realize, they were teaching you and helping you create dynamics of your 32 years. You see what I'm saying? So those things actually, they are a part, even whether we know so or not, or pay attention to it or not. I,
The irony is that I've been married, my wife and I have been married longer than they have,
wow.
right? But
Wow.
we were so much younger, and I had so much more maturing to do. And so in the conversations, and then even in the observation, you can still, even though you might have been married longer than someone, you can still observe and learn what it is that you're not doing right,
Absolutely.
and learn what you could do better to facilitate a more harmonious environment in your own marriage.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. Totally agree with that. So, listen, I want to just jump in real quick about what's in the news, right? I found this to be very interesting. I'm going to share my screen again and talk about this because I thought that this was good. You know, we're not doing this anymore. Over in, there's in English schools, they are making relationships and sex education now mandatory. How
See,
cool is that?
look, I can't imagine any society expecting to have any type of harmonious relating between its men and its women if it's not in the curriculum.
Absolutely.
And I mean from a very early age too. Like they should be introducing these ideas at a very young age. By the time you hit fifth, sixth grade, you should at least have had some sort of indoctrination long before you hit puberty into what it means to relate to the opposite sex. So yeah, shout out to Australia, man. That's big.
Man, especially as they're not just talking about sex education, they're talking about relationships too. I
Yeah.
thought that that was really good, but why is it not happening over here?
Mm,
Things that make you go, hmm,
yeah.
right?
Right.
So yeah, I just thought that that was really good to highlight for today, today's news. And but I'm gonna tell you something. We talk about all these things with are happening with our political stance. We have to talk about those types of things. Look for your people that are a part of your communities to be doing stuff like that. If you're sending your children back to these schools, or if you're homeschooling your kid, make sure that you're making that a part of the curriculum. Not just sex education and don't do sex, but tell them why and give them reasons why they should look for healthy relationships and things of that sort. That should be a part of the things that we discuss. And we don't really discuss those types of things, even in front of our children when we're doing it amongst the couple. You know what I'm saying? Like, families or parents are afraid to see their kids pinching booties or kissing on each other, but that's part of that education that they really really need in order for them to have healthy relationships.
Right. Right. And it's taboo. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's taboo. And the only thing that many of us say is, you better not get pregnant or don't go get nobody pregnant.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
that, for many of us, that's the extent of our conversations with our children about sex.
Yeah. Bad news, right? Bad news. Hey Warner, how are you? How you doing? Yarley says we just don't like each other.
Yeah.
That's That's why we're here to help y'all here. Okay, so look, let's get into our topic of today. Why it is necessary for us to talk about this, and you're just not ready for love. The excuses that emotional baggage brings. So, what's your thought on this whole topic, brother?
Read that topic again one more time for me.
So, you're just not ready for love. The excuses emotional baggage brings.
You're just not ready. It's ironic that you shared that piece with Australia,
Mhm.
because I think that that's, aside from things that are beyond our control, there are things that we can't control. Like there are systemic and societal pressures that we're facing as a community, right?
Right,
Black folk, we face this white supremacy type of ideology or mindset, and we're always battling that, right?
right,
But the one thing that we need the most, we're always talking about entrepreneurship and producing our own things and making the black dollar recirculate and all that. The one thing that we need the most is the one thing that we don't produce, and it
right,
doesn't really cost a whole lot of money. We are a community that does not produce men and women who aspire to be husbands and wives, mothers and fathers.
yeah,
You talk about changing our dynamic overnight. Start producing men who look forward to becoming fathers and husbands, or reverse that, husbands and fathers, and just men of character, men of integrity, like and women who aspire to be wives and mothers. And where is there is no value placed on being a stay-at-home wife or being a stay-at-home mother. Like everybody's chasing the bag, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
and the family. is suffering
Suffering.
because of that.
Yeah.
That is the one thing I think that that is the probably the largest contributing factor to why we're not ready for love, because we're not producing people on purpose who are ready for love. What say
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, I think the same thing. I really do. And for those who have younger children who are in preparing where they're raising their children, I offer you to stop thinking of it as you raising children. Think of it as you raising adults that are going to be someone else's spouse, someone else's father or mother, someone else's colleague, or raise them that they're going to be older. Stop goo goo gaga in them and treating them like babies. And don't get me wrong, enjoy the baby, right? But you raise them because being a mother and raising a child, or being a father and raising a child, is two totally different things. So raise them so that they can be beneficial to adults, other adults, right? And we have to get to that mindset. But for those who have already done it and they're already in the emotional baggage, we need to figure out how in the world do we get from the emotional baggage to the part where we're actually ready for love, because we know that we're broken. Most people are broken because they haven't taken the time to do something about it. They are saying, well, I don't want this, I don't want that, I don't want this, I don't want that. But what do you want? And most people are taking what they don't want and turning it upside down and thinking they're saying that's what they want. But when you figure out what you want, it's the other way around. Figure out what you want, and then it will eliminate what you don't want. And because we're kind of doing that upside down, let's talk about that whole rocket thing. So I really think that yes, we need to start with the babies. We need to start with the families. We need to do that. But you got people that are in our audience that have already got there, and they're already in that position where they're there, and they're living with things like guilt, regret, fear, and inner criticism. And those are the things that show you that you have emotional baggage. So what do you do with that? What do you think, brother, that people should do when they are living with guilt from the past, or regret from different relationships, whether it's regret of them getting into the relationship or even leaving the relationship, or just fear of going into relationships so that because of all the things they've gone through, and even that inner criticism that maybe, I'm not worthy of that relationship or things of that sort. What's your thought on that?
One thing that we're not big on as a community is one thing that we probably need as much, if not more, than any other ethnic group. We don't like therapy. Mm-hmm. And it would be easy for me to just shout out a few anecdotes about what you can do, steps you can take. But the reality is, for many of us to overcome that baggage that we're talking about, these emotional hurdles, these mental setbacks that we suffer, we need therapy.
Yeah.
We need to talk to a specialist, and I mean, I think that's the conduit. But the key is, it needs to be a what's the word I'm looking for here? A therapist who can relate to the challenges that Black people go through. So in other words, you can go to an Asian therapist and they can give you some very general ideas about what it means to overcome this, that, and the third.
Right.
But if you can find a therapist who can relate to what it is that you're going through, because they've also experienced it.
Right.
That's next level. That's
invaluable. Right.
And so yeah. So my first answer to what it means to overcome these different emotional hurdles, we need therapy.
Right.
Or even if you can't afford therapy, coaching. You need, and this is what we do. This is our lane. I mean,
right.
Very coaching is the next best thing.
Right. And that's exactly what we're here for. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get to trying to do a watch party. I finally am able to do one. Sorry about that. But yeah, we really need to get to the place. I'll tell you why. I had a client this past week, a client that's they're getting ready to get married, so they're premarital, and you would be surprised. I see this with many of my coaching couples, right, where they have no idea that they don't even know that they don't know that they're not on the same page when it comes to what their marriage should look like. They don't know that they have two different views. I always ask premarital coaching clients, what is marriage? What does becoming one mean? What is a wife? What is a husband? I ask them these questions, and you would be surprised that they have totally different ideas. And if you have one idea, your partner has another idea, and you're not communicating about those different ideas, then you're not going to be able to effectively communicate and then effectively have a good relationship, because you're thinking one thing, they're thinking something else, they're thinking they're supposed to do this, and you're thinking they're supposed to do that, and vice versa. And you're having this battle that you don't even know about because you haven't taken the time to even do anything about it.
Yep.
And people are like, well, I'm not going to premarital counseling with the preacher because they're just doing it to break us up. No, if they can break you up, you shouldn't have been together in the first place. Because that is a challenge. I'm gonna tell you something. When I was doing it in ministry, we're challenging you. We bringing you toe to toe together, and y'all supposed to back it up, and it's y'all against the world. But what we found was people coming towards each other and fighting each other. Y'all ain't together then. You're gonna have a hard time becoming one. So when somebody comes to you and challenges your relationship, if you're not backing up together with your partner, you got problems. And it ain't the people on the outside asking you the questions. It's y'all. So you really got to start to think about those types of things. And a lot of people are not doing that because they're not taking the necessary steps, like you said earlier, of creating a great relationship. They don't happen by osmosis. You have to create that relationship. And it starts off with being, as Yarly just said, with being honest with yourself first. And people don't do that because the truth does really hurt.
Even before that, the comment he made right before that, he said, we
have
too many choices.
Yeah.
We have too many choices. And I just imagine that, I don't know, maybe 1,000 years ago, this marrying for romance and marrying for what we think of as love, right? That's a very new phenomenon.
Overrated.
It is overrated because you can build those things once you're in the relationship.
Yeah.
And you can really do that with just about anybody if you have at least some level of attraction to them, and as long as you have some healthy relating skills. Right. But I can imagine that maybe, I don't know, 1,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago, that the immediate need was to populate. We needed more people. We had work to do. We had to learn how to relate to each other in a healthy way so that we can accomplish the end goal. Yeah. And so it was, of course, we were still attracted to, I think humans have always had attractions, right? But at the same time, I think the goal, the end game was much more important than whether or not he was 6'2" and whether he had washboard abs or whether she had a bubble butt, and the curvy, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I think these things, even though I think there is some value in that, I mean, I think our primal instinct drives us to be attracted to beauty in women. And I'm sure women feel very similarly in many regards. But I think that now that these surface things have overshadowed the larger mission, the greater mission. And so now, because we're so preoccupied with these surface ideas about height and weight and, how, lips and butt and like all of these things are preoccupying our minds so much to the point that we don't even get to the finish line of accomplishing the mission of building a community.
Absolutely. I mean, look at absolutely. Look at other cultures that either do arranged marriages, which is what, we talked about before. Or if a woman has a covering that's doing everything but her eyes, not even showing her hair, he don't get to see her until after he married her. Which is how over in, I can't think of what the scripture is, but there's a scripture that talks about he wanted to marry the one wife who was the one who's supposed to be really beautiful. I can't, I'm a little slipping today, y'all. Don't judge me. But anyway, he ended up getting a sister that wasn't so attractive, but he didn't know until after he married her. So how would that have happened? That happened because there was an arrangement that they were to come together because of the greater good of those two families, one, and two, he didn't see her. But because there's too many things that are highlighted on what we look like you said, how tall they are and all of these other things, the whole thing is the Bible says be fruitful and multiply. It didn't say be fruitful and multiply with the chick that's on Instagram showing her butt. You know, it didn't say be fruitful and multiply with the dude that's making six figures. It didn't say, it didn't say any of that. It said be fruitful and multiply. And that fruitful and multiplying means not just finances or not just children, but it's being fruitful and multiplying your legacy, being fruitful and multiplying your thought processes and your mindsets and things of that sort. And we're not paying attention to the good and what that needs to be and how that should look.
You talk about being fruitful. I mean, I say this all the time. I think that is such a powerful word, what it means to be fruitful. The fruit, right?
Fruit.
But somebody has switched the game, and we're more concerned with the nut rather than the fruit.
Come through. Yes.
You got Yardley says, I believe that the issue with the Black community about therapy is that it's seen as weak. Our less melanated peoples are always going to therapy for meaningless issues that we laugh at because our lives are so much more difficult in general society. We can't falter, cry, get mad. We are always pushing forward.
Always. And let me say this, men, if you are having issues with your relationship, I love Garthion's story. That man took on the responsibility of seeking out help. He took the leadership in that, seeking out help to make sure and ensure that him and his wife are good. He didn't blame her or tell her that she had issues. He didn't point at her and say, you go fix it. He said, I'm the leader over here. Let me go seek out help. Let me go find wisdom and figure that out. Let me make that phone call to that coach. Let me make that phone call to that therapist so that we can get help. I promise you, if you did that, your wife will follow you right into that coaching room or that therapy room. And they will do what's necessary to make sure that relationship is on point. But if you, instead of you too lippy, oh, you complain too much, oh, you this, oh, you that, right? Stop, get on your phone, find the nearest Vaun or Coach Michelamonè, okay? Right. And say, hey, when can we make that appointment with y'all so that I can keep my marriage, so that my children are not raised by another man, so that my children are not raised and become bitter adults, so that my children can be healthy and create legacy for me in my name. Yep. You know, that's just my soapbox for the men. And I say that because I'm gonna tell you, when my very first client, because I have 3 clients where the men reached out to me personally. And my very first time I was sitting there like this. So because the first thing I was like, I hope it's not 2 men. That was my thought. I was like, I hope, because I'm gonna have to tell them I can't do that. I just can't do it, right? And so, but he reached out and I was like, wow, young couple, 25 years old. He's like, hey, we want to do this, but how are we gonna do this? We didn't have that knowledge of how to do it. So we got to get it together. Thank you, his first lady. Yes, Leah and Rachel. Jacob. Yes, he did get both of them, but he didn't get Rachel till later, right? Oh, I love it. Thank you so much. God, my brain just froze. I couldn't remember.
Stephanie Martin says, the best thing I did for myself was to go to counseling for myself. It helped me to rediscover myself, understanding myself, loving myself in order to love my husband now. We did premarital counseling, and we are both thankful that we did. We like each other.
I love it. That is amazing. Great testimony. Let people know.
Man. People underestimate how important it is to like your spouse.
Mm-hmm.
Loving them is really, I don't want to say the easy part, but it's kind of a byproduct of being around somebody. So you're gonna have feelings that you care about them, that you're concerned about their well-being. Right. But liking to be in the same space with them, though.
Yeah.
Man, this pandemic has exposed a lot, because people have had to spend a lot more time together than they normally otherwise would.
Yes.
So you don't have the escape.
Yeah.
Anymore. You can't just run to the club, run to the pool house, go hang out with your girls and get your nails. And there are all kinds of things that were removed from us as outlets. and we were forced to spend time together. And a lot of couples are finding out that they don't quite like each other as much as they would like to.
Yeah, it's crazy.
We're in love with people that we don't even like.
Right. Youre says they kept their young maidens covered because she was being dowered for sheep and goats, not love. If she was too ugly, at least you had sheep and goats. Well, that would be true, right? So, and ain't nobody dowering for yeah, we ain't got no dowry over here. So yeah,
my new favorite show is Married at First Sight.
First Sight, man, don't you love that show?
And I've been kind of binge watching, and I know that they're up to the 2021 season now, but I'm still on 2015, 2016. I'm playing catch up because I want to see the development of all of it, and just kind of I'm studying. I'm working as I'm watching it. I'm not just watching from a fan standpoint, but also I'm learning.
Yeah, because I also watched 90 Day Fiance. You watch that one?
Nah, I don't. I can't do too much.
It's the kind of the same premise, but they actually they have 90 days where they live together for 90 days and then they get married. And the only reason that's happening that way is because they are marrying, and an American citizen is marrying someone else from another country. So in order for them to get married, they have to be over here for a certain amount of time, according to this show, in order for them to even be given the authority to do so. So they're in the process and stuff, they're going through the things to try to figure out, are they marrying me just to get their green card and things of that sort. But it's still kind of the same premise as Married at First Sight. And I really believe in, which is why I matchmake. I really believe in the whole process of bringing couples together that have been arranged based off of their core values. That is what I do when I'm matchmaking. I'm checking out what your core values is. I'm going through a 17-page assessment. Then we're doing all other tests. We're doing all these things to figure out who you are. And I'm finding matches.
Yeah.
Finding matches. So, people need to really check into that, because guess what? If it ain't working for you this long and you still single. Yep, I said single. You still single. Then you might want to hit up, me and Coach Vaun as, try to check y'all out, see who y'all is.
Hey, look, you can't fix the problem with the same level of thinking that created it.
Not at all. Not at all.
One of the things that I like about on that Married at First Sight show is how, they're kind of like what you were saying. They have these matchmakers that put them together based on these different attributes and things. And then they bring these people together and they have to learn each other and kind of figure it out. And I think we talked about this last week, how arranged marriages tend to last. I think the divorce rate is like
very low,
like 6%.
Yeah.
And romance divorce rates are like 50%, plus or minus a little bit. Uh-oh.
In our community, more like.
Is that me or you freezing? One of us freezing.
What happened?
One of us froze. I don't know if that was me or you.
I see you.
All right.
I hear you. I see you. You moving.
Yeah, we good. Go ahead.
Good? Yeah. So, yeah.
You were saying something.
Huh?
You were saying something.
I said in our community, more like 64%.
And then it's stuff. Most of the problems, like when I talk to a lot of brothers that have, I find a lot of them say stuff to me like, man, if I had known this, like one of my partners, he told me, man, if I had known, he's on his third marriage. And he was telling me some years ago, he said, man, if I had known the stuff that you're sharing with me now, I would still be on my first marriage.
I said the same thing.
And so we're finding that people are getting married for differences.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, getting divorced.
Divorce for instead of it being irreconcilable. Because if you have, let me tell you something. If you really find out what it means to be irreconcilable, then the things that you get divorced for, they should have a list, really. Like the list that the Bible says, right? That's what the list should be. And people should pay attention to that. Because really, and even in that, oh, sorry, y'all. Sorry. Even in that, the thing is, The Bible doesn't say you can't get through infidelity, because you can. You just have to work harder at it. And I'm not saying that if if he cheating or she cheating consistently over and over and over again, I understand. But I'm telling y'all, as a woman who's been married and divorced 4 times because of infidelity, that you can work through anything when you put your mind to it. Because had I been the woman I am today, 23 years, 20 plus years ago, I'd be married 20 something years by now.
Yeah. Look,
You
check
know?
this out. I had a young one. You know, they say that 80% of divorces are filed by women, right? They say that 80% of the divorces are filed by women. Now, we're in this age of women's empowerment.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I call this the pendulum effect, right? So, if you go back 100 years, where women weren't often allowed to be self-sufficient, they had to
Mm-hmm.
tolerate a lot of nonsense. And so we had marriages that lasted a long time. Oh, and we're keeping these marriages in very high regard. Oh, nobody stays married like Nana and Granddaddy. They don't realize that if Nana could have, she would have left Granddaddy's ass 40, 50 years ago,
Yeah.
right? But and not all of them, of course, there were some good relationships too. But I'm saying in many regards, there were some tumultuous relationships that the women had no recourse. They couldn't get away.
Yeah.
And now the pendulum effect of that is, or almost a knee-jerk type of response, where now women don't have to deal with none of that. They can
Right.
just leave whenever they want to. But
Right.
they're overdoing it now. I had a sister call me. She has 3 children, and she's talking about leaving her husband. 3 small babies. Can you tell me that your life is going to be discernibly better once you leave? I mean, is he beating you? Is he cheating? What's going on? They just weren't getting along. And I'm saying, this age of women's empowerment. You can do what you want to do. You can live how you want to live. You're free. You know, the slut walk and all these different things that we got going on. It's not really empowerment.
It's
If you
not.
think about it, what they're doing is they're elevating you in a position at the expense of your masculine counterpart.
Yeah.
So that empowerment is really to your detriment,
Yeah.
right? And so now there was an article, I think I sent this to you, or a screenshot of it, where the I think it says something like successful women are having challenges finding their masculine counterpart or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That,
and
that
so
high value woman can't find her high value man.
there you go. The high value women can't find high value men. And
Right.
so again, you have to understand why women are elevated to this position where they're earning so much money, and the men are kept in a position where, for the most part, corporate America won't let them in, except for a few small exceptions,
Yeah.
right? So women are flooded in, and black men, unless you're homosexual, for the most part, in many ways, they're not letting you in either.
Mhm.
So they have this huge influx of women who are making 6 figures and more, complaining about how they can't find men on their level.
Yeah.
And it's by design, and we're not recognizing that.
Not at all. We're not recognizing the tricks that have been put up against us. The independent black woman. I'm independent. I don't need a man, and all of these things. Oh, baby, you just get a man that's just equal to you. That's not gonna happen, right? We need to get our lives in position where we are recognizing the outer enemy, right? And also the inner enemy, and to figure out what is really happening. Humble yourself. Many times when I have clients and I'm talking to both of them and the man finally opens up, it's because he feels like she is emasculating him. She feels like she's taking control. She's too masculine. And I am real quick to tell my clients to say, bring your feminine out. Drop the masculine at the door, manager, supervisor, boss lady, CEO.
She
Drop
don't
the
know how.
drop the masculine at the door.
She don't know how.
And that's the thing. And then still not willing to get coaching about it. You
And
know,
then you're gonna go and complain. You making $200,000-300,000 a year. You cute as can be, and your husband cheating on you with a less attractive woman down the street. What is it that this so-called less attractive woman is bringing to his life to the point where he would step out on a woman who's an 8, 9, or a 10 on the scale,
Right.
to go be with her who might be a 4 or 5? What is she bringing to his proverbial table that you're not?
Not her mouth. And see,
You,
and I say this, I want women to understand, especially the women who follow me, that I am not one of those women that say, lie down, let him run up the front of you and down the back of you, because I ain't her. Right. And even my co-host, my counterpart is not saying that, because he that ain't even his wife. Right. So, and they Desi, honey, let me tell you. So listen, what I am saying is, learn how to use your gifts. You have been gifted with two special things that have created that boss chick in you, that has created that dime in you, the one that know how to go to the table and negotiate, the one that know how to go in the room and get the client. Those two gifts have helped you do that. But you have to then learn the other sides of that other side of that corner, that gifts, and learn how to be discerning and persuasive to your femininity with your spouse. And when you learn how to do that, it's totally opposite of how you're using it in the business world. Completely opposite.
Yep.
In the business world, you need that masculine. Don't get me wrong. We needed to do that because we had our men going to jail. Many of them were getting killed over when they was going to war. And then we got the whole, homosexuality thing going on, the agenda going on. We got all those things that's happening. There's a guess we had to go out and do what we had to do. But then when you find him, you ain't even ready for him because you don't know how to cut it off. And it's okay to say, I don't know how to cut it off. Find somebody that can help you cut it off. I was her. I was the one that, hey, look, I know how to build business and make millions of dollars. I know how to do that. I've done it. And since I knew how to do that, I felt like I knew how to handle everything else. Well, it wasn't always for me to handle everything else. Sometimes I had to go with the flow, and I would have had to slam into a couple of walls, not physically, I'm talking about with his idea, because it didn't work, maybe, but build him up and let him see if it works. Don't come in trying to fix it all the time. Don't come in thinking that, because it didn't go the way you thought it should go, that it was not the right way. So, yeah.
Yarley says, to destroy the nuclear family, if you go against a woman's feelings, thinkings, or make her accountable, they try to shame a man for having his own feelings, thoughts, and feelings. Yeah. Look, here's the other side of that. First of all, let me say I agree with what Yarley just said. Here's the other side, or another side. We have this blame game going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
Men are blaming the women for the state of our relationships, the state of the Black affairs, whatever you want to call it. And the women are also blaming the men. We're blaming each other, right? I say that there is no problem that women have that men don't also have an equal and or opposite problem too.
Mm-hmm.
And the same so here's one. You grew up without your father. Oh, so she got daddy issues. She don't know how to relate to a man because she grew up without her father. Well, guess what? There are a lot of boys growing up without their father too, right? And so if you are a young male growing up in the home without seeing a healthy expression of masculine energy in exchange with feminine energy, you don't see your mom and daddy relating to each other in a healthy way. Guess what? You got daddy issues too as a man, right? So our women have daddy issues and our men also have daddy issues, because if you don't have a man helping you hit those benchmarks, who tells you when you've arrived at manhood?
Yeah.
Ain't no rites of passage. So we're out here trying to figure it out. And I tell you, when you're a pubescent young man, you're going through puberty, you're not thinking with this head.
Right.
For the most part, you're thinking with that lower nature, right?
Right.
And so you will mistreat, misuse, even to the point where you are, I say, if you anything that you're not using properly, you're abusing.
Yeah.
Right? Anything you're not using in the proper way that it's designed, you're abusing it.
Yeah.
I met my wife. I tell the story all the time. We were 12, whatever. We started dating at 16. She had just gotten out of a relationship where her heart was broken. And she told me, she said, "Look, I really don't want to get into a relationship right now. I need to recover." I said, "Don't worry about it. I make you forget all about it. No sweat." She said, "You just think that I?" So I was kind of arrogant. I was kind of, high on myself, but I didn't intend. Look, I'm revealing this publicly for the first time, right? I didn't intend to. My intentions were not honorable. She was cute. She had a nice waist, a nice butt. I wanted to hit. That's it. What else does a 16-year-old boy want?
That's it.
Again, we don't have a community. We don't have a community that's producing boys who aspire to be husbands and fathers.
Yes.
Right. So, out true to form, I wanted to hit. She was a cutie pie, and I wanted me some of that snack. Right. What had happened was
What had happened?
she got pregnant. Right. She got pregnant very early in our relationship. And because of my experiences growing up without my father, the pain that I experienced from his absence, like I say this all the time, Jay-Z said, "Now the teachers couldn't reach me and my mama couldn't beat me hard enough to match the pain of my pops not seeing me."
Mm-hmm.
To that.
Yeah.
So the pain that I experienced growing up without my father, I swore that any child that I brought into this life, no way in hell I was going to put them through that.
Mm-hmm.
So the day she got pregnant, we had only been together for 3 months, I think. And I knew she was pregnant. And I knew then that that was going to be my wife.
Yeah.
At 3 months into the relationship. So here I am, 17 years old, making an executive decision. We getting married. And it just so happened that it worked out beautifully, that I was crazy about her. I loved her tremendously. So I happened to marry my best friend and all that good, happy stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we would get married regardless in my mind because I needed to be there for my children.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that was making a decision for the adult. You weren't making a decision for the baby. You were making a decision for the adult that's going to be produced from that baby. Because you didn't want that adult to go through some of the things that you have gone through because you saw those things in your 17 young years. And so that's how we need to start to think about those things. And, like we have, I've heard so many people coming up, "Oh, I'll never, the reason why I give my daughter or my son all of these things is because I don't want them to suffer like I suffered." But then you make them suffer like you suffered because you're mad at the baby daddy, you mad at the baby mama, y'all arguing about some silly stuff, y'all doing all this craziness that just does not make sense, all in the name of the outer environment has told us to not come together. And we're believing the hype. And we're going, "Oh, they say we shouldn't be together because the media tells us this. Oh, the songs tell us this. Oh, take them out the household and give them a little bit of financial aid called Link, Snap, and food stamps. Oh, send them over, tell them that they can't be in the house when we come to do." You see the conundrum that we've built and we've allowed to be built, because it could have been, no, we're going to make sure that we do what we need to do to make sure that our families are taken care of. We don't want your money. We're going to go get us a garden. We're going to do what we need to do. But it's a challenge. It's more of a challenge than just to sit back and lay back and say, "Well, we'll just take it."
Yeah. Yeah. We are, you can eat at McDonald's every day, 3 times a day, and you'll still be malnourished. Right. And so what that does is it might satisfy the flesh.
Yeah.
Because you have these cravings inside, and McDonald's tastes great to a lot of people, or whatever, McDonald's, Burger King, pick one, I don't care. But right, you're satisfying the flesh, but the real you that needs the nourishment remains malnourished, right? What we're doing in relationships, we're pursuing things that satisfy the flesh, while the spirit man remains malnourished.
Man, you better drop that knowledge on these folks. I hope that somebody caught that, because when he first said the first word, I knew where he was going. When you're out of alignment, you're always going to be insatiable. Always. You're always going to want the next. out of alignment, you're going to always want the next. When you line up to where you're supposed to be in purpose, you will instantly feel satisfaction with everything that you are doing. And you will line up according to your purpose, and you will do what it needs to be done to get in those relationships, to create those relationships, to keep them and keep them healthy and do what's necessary. But if you out of alignment, you'll stay insatiable.
What? Look at peep how they do us, right? As a man, they can't sell you anything without a bikini attached to it, right? If you buy tires, if you buying beer, it's always sex. And so they saturate our minds with sex, right? And so we think, many of us grow up thinking that the highest expression of manhood is synonymous with how many notches we can put on our bedpost. How many girls can you get, right? And so it keeps us preoccupied with how expressing our potency in a way that leaves us impotent.
Yeah.
Right. And when I say impotent, I'm talking about spiritually impotent.
Yes.
Right? Because we're not producing that same energy that's required to chase women, to get all these different girls. That's the same energy. If redirected, we could actually resurrect our community.
Come through.
If we put that energy into the woman that we are going to build with, rather than multiple women who we ain't building shit with.
Come through.
This all these expressions of premature efforts to express our potency actually ends up leaving us impotent. And so our community suffers.
Wasting our seed. The word talks about them wasting the man's seed. That's exactly what is happening. You're wasting your seed when you drop it in Susie, Judy, and I'm sorry, I ain't gonna say Pam because I was gonna say and Tracy, right? You dropping your seed. You're putting it to the ground and making it void. All in the name of, as Youre says, living to ejaculate. Get over it.
That's it.
Come on. Really?
We don't even need women right there. The game is so cold. They've sold you on an idea where you can make love to yourself. Right? All you need is some lotion and a video or a magazine, and you got dudes that are so self-indulgent that they don't even have desire to be with a woman. And I'll even go a step further. You have men who are married to absolutely lovely women, and they can't even get an erection because they're addicted to porn.
Yeah. You dropping some stuff here today. His first lady says, hubby just said we have too many escape options. If we don't like something, we could just divorce. If we don't want a baby, we can just abort, etc. Escape options makes us forever unaccountable for our decisions and outcomes. You are absolutely right, his first lady. I'm telling you, I have said, when I get married, I'm going to have on my coffee table, and I don't even like coffee tables, but I'm going to get one just for this, with a big old dictionary, and to the D-I-V, and the word divorce is going to be cut out. And if it ever brought up, I don't even know what that word is. What's that? That word ain't in my dictionary. Where you get that word from?
Right.
Because it's gonna be till death do us part, and somebody gonna die to happen. You want to die today, bruh? You want to die today, right? You know, and again, we have too many choices. We need to stop it. I mean, do you know that more than 70% of people are walking down the aisle with the mindset of, I'll just get divorced if it does not work out? 70% of people.
Yep. Hey, look, I was one of them. Even though we got married at a very young age, we started having complications very early. And I was just like, well, we can just get divorced. I can still be a father to my child, even with us being divorced.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But again, I'm 18 and I'm around all these other sailors. I'm in the Navy at the time, right? And everybody's going through divorces in the military, right? And so I'm getting inundated with all these unhealthy ideas, hearing all this unhealthy chatter, right? And it's just feeding. Look, which you got a wolf on each shoulder, right? You got a good one and a bad one, and the one that grows is the one you feed the most.
It's the one you feed.
And the one I was feeding was the destructive one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm thinking that at the time that I was thinking that, my wife was like, hell no, we ain't getting no divorce. Look, you got me here with 3-4 babies. We ain't going nowhere.
None.
And so we just kind of went through that ebb and flow. There were times where she wanted a divorce, and I'm like, hell no, we ain't going nowhere. So
Right.
it just so happened. It just so happened that we never wanted to get a divorce at the same time, and now we don't even talk about that. Like that's not even on the table. Ain't nobody. Look, it's like a gang now. The only way you leaving this one is dead.
Right. Right. You either gonna be dead, or we just gonna be here together. We just ain't going nowhere.
That's it.
Hey,
That's it.
Pamela, how you doing today? Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey,
My
Pam.
6 does sell. Yarly, really? But Susie, Judy, and Pam feel so good. No. Yes, and the whole female. But I'm gonna tell you something. I don't personally know, and I'm not saying this is not happening. Any woman that would prefer, unless she's just been broken, to be using a vibrator.
I don't think that men start out or even prefer necessarily to use porn. I think it's I think they devolve. They devolve to that point because the natural preference is to be with the woman, right? But the path of least resistance, you don't feel like getting her hot. You don't feel like getting her worked up. So the escape route is
rejection.
Yeah, or you don't want the rejection. So the escape route is, you know what, self-gratification.
Yeah.
It's easier. You ain't got to put up with no arguments. You just go and deal with it. And but what happens is it's a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And as you begin going down that path, sometimes it's hard to come back.
Yeah.
And you find a lot of brothers who, man, without some serious therapy and some serious fasting and abstinence, it's hard to come back. Some of them never come back.
Yes. See, Stephanie said, no, we do not. We don't want that. We would prefer a hot body next to us.
But you know what's happening to a lot of women though is because women have sexual urges and desires too. And sometimes if they can't get that itch scratched by the real thing, they look for the path of least resistance, right? And in so doing, over time, they become numb. And they get to a point where they're unpleasurable by the real thing.
Yeah, where it's not that he can't reach that because she has stimulated herself so much that it's going to take him being a robot to even get there. Yep. And so we really do not understand the real ramifications of that. Yep. And people say, like I've heard people say, well, it's not in the Bible. No, it does. The Bible does not specifically speak of masturbation. However, if you think of all of the things that happens, because even if you just get a quick one off real quick and you're not thinking about nothing but just getting it off, you're going to ultimately start to spin things into that. You're then going to pick up thoughts of your ex. Then you're going to think of, okay, well, let me just look at the porn. And then you're going to start listening to the porn. Well, I don't look at it, I just listen to it. And then all these things, and I know these things because I have coached people through these types of things. And they're telling you what's happening. You're listening to it because you don't want to look at it and get it in your eye gates. Okay, well then, now I just peek and see what it is. Okay, it's a cycle. And before you know it, you're sitting there watching porn for 3-4 hours a day on a Saturday because your wife or your husband is out shopping or out with his boy, whatever the case may be, and you have not figured out that, man, I'm addicted to this thing.
Yeah, and it's a trap because, look, if it was not for porn, if nobody had ever introduced the idea of masturbation, you got to keep in mind that these things were introduced to you by your enemy.
Yeah.
And if not for these things, then you would try that much harder to work it out with your significant other because that's your source of release. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't have another outlet except for my wife.
Right.
And so in my mind, look, I got it. I need that outlet. So we got to work it out.
We got to communicate because and she ain't gonna give me none if I ain't communicating with her. And so you see the reward. So look, we've been talking about this. We're gonna have to cut it off at 60 minutes today, y'all. We got 6 minutes left. Y'all got some questions? Let me see. We got some comments over here. You got some comments on your end?
Nope. I couldn't do a watch party, so.
Oh, really? They messing with you? They be always messing. I was surprised I was able to do one. Yarly says porn is easier to assess than women available. I don't know about that.
It is because you don't look. Porn is at if you got a phone, you got porn.
Well, I'm talking about It's women out here. I mean, y'all outnumber us.
No. What he was saying is that porn is easier to access than the women are available. So you got to convince a woman, especially if you're a single man, you got to go and convince a woman to be down, right?
Well, then find your woman and keep her and hold on to her.
Yeah. But the point is still the same, though.
I get it. I get it now. I didn't understand what he was saying at first. I'm like, huh? That don't make sense. Yeah, but she's like, I don't either. I don't want that. Just bring your hot body over here when it comes times. Oh Lord. So listen, I just want to really say some things that you want to make sure that you are, paying close attention to everything that is happening in your relationship. Look at it for real. If you are having challenges in your relationship and you don't know how to fix it, reach out. I'm gonna let Coach Vaun talk about that. Thank you so much, Stephanie. I appreciate that. Let me say this. I forgot. Make sure that y'all are, again, liking, commenting, and sharing with us. Go over to our YouTube page and subscribe, hit the red bell. Also, make sure that you're sharing. Do a watch party for this show. If you liked what we did today, just go ahead and do a watch party since you were already here with us. You can do a watch party and just go cook dinner. Just don't worry about it. It's not going to be all right. It's going to be all right. And then make sure that you meet us next week at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or watch out for if we change the time again, because we may do that, depending on how things flow. But make sure that you're doing something and, keeping up with us. We're trying to reach as many people as we possibly can, and we need your help to be able to do so.
Listen, there are tons of couples out here winning in their relationships, in their marriages, but they're not winning because they're doing extraordinary things. They're winning because they do ordinary things better than average couples. The average couple splits. The average marriage ends in divorce. You don't have to be exceptional. You don't have to be extraordinary. You just got to be better than average, right? So again, we're not winning out here because we're doing extraordinary things. We're winning because we do ordinary things better than the average couple.
Absolutely.
Okay, so all I say is just be above average. You don't have, and that's really the game, man. I mean, be kind to each other. Talk nice to your lady. Talk nice to your man. Ladies, your win for any type of conflict lies in, or I should say, your strength lies in your softness, not in you bossing up and barking at your man. No, that's not where you win. So anyway, that's a whole nother show.
Right.
We want to thank y'all for coming out, man. We appreciate you. Could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that. Love y'all, fam.
Bye.
Peace.